Hello guys, just wanted to touch base with a little problem that I came across. Recently switched operating systems from Windows to Linux. I'm using Mint right now. I'm not really sure if the problem is coming from the Linux side of things or if it's coming from the update in RenderMan that just updated to 21.7. There seems to be an issue with the UV mapping, which is kind of disconcerting because of the fact that I've done a lot of UV mapping in the body project, and basically what's happening is that all the UVs are flipped. So I'm just going to show you what I mean about that. The thing is that when you use cycles over here, um, you can see that the colors and everything like that are mapped correctly according to this. I just painted some stripes on here. Usually I do fills, but I decided for some reason to paint strips to see how it was being translated over into everything, because Substance Painter kind of gave me some fits when I installed it the first time, and somehow when I installed the second or this other time with this new install it worked out just fine. But the thing is that usually I use fills, but I needed to get some orientation, and basically the orientation looks right. The uh, the normal maps are on there correctly. But for this project, because of the large amount of data, I didn't use GPU acceleration, and if I was going to use a CPU, I'd want to use RenderMan. It's a little bit faster, and I do like I've already talked to you about liking all the light fall offs and the shadow depth and stuff like that I can get with it without extra setup. And it's a minor setup in cycles to do that, but without all that extra setup. So if we look at the RenderMan version of this, we're going to go ahead and get a quick render out here. So this is what happens with the fix. Alright, and that fixes the invert the T, and I'll show you why we do this. And I don't know why it updates there and it doesn't update when I do this before. See, the second one doesn't do anything. So, um, we had to kick RenderMan in the butt here. So what you can see here is the very tips, the dark tip here, and then the light tip here, and I couldn't figure out if everything was slid up or if it was flipped up, and apparently it's flipped up. This is kind of an issue for me because of the fact that I want to have all my stuff work correctly that I had worked on before and converted over to RenderMan. Now, what I usually do is I convert things to RenderMan, but I also keep a secondary node network for cycles just in case. And this is what I thought one of those just in case moments. I guess I don't technically need this part here. But what I found out is that there's actually a flipping part here, and there's a specific little invert T. There's not an invert S. So to confuse your coordinate system even more, like your X, Y, and Z in three-dimensional space, the UVs that are assigned here, the map total in RenderMan is, they don't really use the UV nomenclature. They use S and T. Okay? Now, I don't know why this checkbox was in here before. I never had to use it before, but apparently inverting the T or having the T direction flipped, it must be a common enough problem. Because it's looking at Maya's UV's map in here, and I'm not sure if this is, like I said, the version of RenderMan has updated to 21.7, but also the Blender version that I'm using is 2.79a. So I don't know where the translation of this is. Cycle sees this fine, RenderMan does not, and it appears to be using Maya's UV coordinates in Blender here, which it didn't before. So simply inverting that stuff there corrects that, and then it doesn't do that on the secondary node, but you just give it a little push there, and that's what you get. So Somehow, I don't know if it's a difference in versions because the operating systems being instead of Windows being Linux, if it has to do with RenderMan recently being updated from 21.6 to 21.7, or Blender 2.79 going to 2.79a. But I thought I'd put that out there. If anybody is watching these, if anybody even has any interest in watching anything that I do on here, and has the same problems, you have kind of like using maybe the same setup, maybe you're using it in Windows, I don't care what brings this about. What I do care is if other people are having the same issues or not. If you're not, awesome. If you are, when did it start for you? Basically just trying to track down the issue, seeing if it's something that I really have to investigate further, or just dive in and switch all my assets and click all these little invert T boxes on stuff like that just to get everything aligned again. Um, yeah, let me know in the comments if you run across this or anything like that. By the time many people will watch this, I'm sure that I'll be on well deep into something else. So, okay guys, thanks for watching.